One of the biggest areas of need for the Lakers right now is adding depth on the wing, specifically a true 3-and-D player, someone who can defend multiple positions while knocking down shots from the perimeter. Whether that player comes in as a starter or a key piece off the bench, this type of role could make a major difference for this roster. Athleticism, perimeter defense, and two-way versatility have become essential for teams with championship aspirations, and Los Angeles is no exception. Several names have been linked to this type of role, with Andrew Wiggins often mentioned throughout the offseason. Other options that have surfaced include players like Miles Bridges, or even someone in the mold of RJ Barrett, who could provide scoring while holding his own defensively. Among the teams worth monitoring, Toronto stands out as an intriguing possibility. There's been some speculation that the Raptors might eventually look to reset or retool if things don't go well this season. Why Toronto? Recent history suggests they're not afraid to make aggressive moves or pivot quickly. If they underperform, players from their rotation could become available. On the other hand, if they manage to stay competitive in an Eastern Conference that's relatively open outside the top tier, they might stand pat. That uncertainty makes them a team to watch, because the Lakers might find an opportunity to grab a useful piece without breaking the bank. In a perfect scenario, a player like RJ Barrett, or even a combination of Barrett and another rotation wing, would be ideal. Realistically, if Barrett plays well and Toronto remains in the playoff hunt, prying him away could be tough. But there are other names, like Ochai Agbaji, who could fit nicely in Los Angeles' system. Agbaji is on a team-friendly club option worth roughly $6.3 million this season, which makes his contract manageable. The challenge would be finding a salary match, given the Lakers' financial limitations under the new CBA. Could a piece like Gabe Vincent be enough to make something work? It depends on how Toronto views its guard depth and overall direction. For Los Angeles, this probably isn't a deal that happens immediately. It feels like the kind of move that would materialize closer to the trade deadline, once the standings and team trajectories become clearer. Agbaji checks several boxes: defensive versatility, ability to hit open shots, and potential to develop into a reliable two-way contributor. Those are the exact qualities the Lakers need to complement their core players. And while other names like Matisse Thybulle or similar defensive specialists could also be options, Agbaji stands out as someone worth monitoring closely as the season unfolds. Another intriguing aspect of targeting a player like Agbaji is the physical profile he brings to the table. At 6'5", with a wingspan over 6'10", he offers the length and versatility that every modern NBA team values. That kind of size allows him to comfortably guard positions 1 through 3, giving coaches flexibility in switching schemes and defensive matchups. Combine that with solid athleticism, spot-up shooting ability, and a willingness to defend, and you have a player who fits the classic mold of a two-way wing, one of the hardest archetypes to find in today's league. Agbaji is still only 25 years old, turning 26 by the time the playoffs roll around. That means he's entering what many consider a player's prime years, making him an attractive option, not just as a rental, but potentially as a long-term contributor. He can thrive as a rotational piece right now, and has the upside to earn a starting spot in the right system. From a team-building perspective, Toronto's situation creates an opening. Agbaji is currently on an affordable deal, but he'll be hitting restricted free agency soon. Depending on how the Raptors evaluate their roster and cap sheet, they might look to move him, rather than risk losing him for nothing or overpaying to retain him. This could give the Lakers a chance to acquire a valuable asset at a reasonable price, especially if Toronto leans toward a retooling phase. However, Los Angeles would need to weigh the financial implications carefully. The key question is, what kind of contract will Agbaji command on the open market? If his market value pushes into the $20 million per year range, that could complicate things. But if his next deal falls into a more modest tier, something like $12 or $15 million annually, the Lakers might view that as a worthwhile investment, especially given his age and skill set. A shorter-term agreement could also make sense, providing flexibility while giving Agbaji the opportunity to prove his long-term value. Of course, This raises another strategic question. Does acquiring Agbaji align with the Lakers' long-term cap strategy? The front office has made it clear that preserving flexibility for the future is a priority, particularly with an eye toward upcoming star movement. That said, planning too far ahead can be risky. Rosters evolve quickly, and holding out for hypothetical opportunities can leave teams stagnant. The reality is that if Agbaji develops as expected, he'd provide a cost-controlled, defensive-minded wing for years to come, a commodity that often costs far more in free agency. For Los Angeles, it comes down to balancing immediate needs with future planning. If the Lakers truly want to maximize their championship window around their core, adding a versatile, young two-way player like Agbaji, who can shoot, defend multiple positions, and still improve, might be the kind of calculated risk worth taking. The Lakers need to start thinking strategically about players who can contribute now while also serving as long-term assets. And Agbaji fits that profile perfectly. He's the type of player who provides immediate value without demanding a massive contract. It's highly unlikely he commands anything close to $20 million annually in free agency. Realistically, his next deal could land somewhere in the $12 to $15 million range, maybe a bit higher, if a team aggressively tries to pry him away. Even then, as a restricted free agent, the Lakers would maintain matching rights, which gives them an important layer of flexibility. In fact, there's a chance his market could cool enough for LA to negotiate a team-friendly deal, possibly a short-term contract with a team option or a modest multi-year agreement. Scenarios like 2 years with a third-year option or even 4 years at a lower annual rate are realistic if his market isn't robust. That level of cost control makes him an appealing asset, not just as a rotation player, but as part of the bigger picture when the Lakers inevitably pursue a major star in the coming seasons. Here's why that matters. Los Angeles has its eyes on potential franchise-changing names like Giannis Antetokounmpo or Nikola Jokic. Whether those stars hit free agency or forced trades, the Lakers need assets, both picks and players, to build a compelling package. Imagine being able to offer multiple first-round picks, Austin Reeves, Agbaji, and other young prospects as part of a blockbuster. That's a far stronger offer than relying on draft capital alone, and it gives the Lakers flexibility to act if an opportunity arises. And even if that dream scenario never materializes, having players like Agbaji under control still pays dividends. Should the Lakers land a superstar via free agency, they'll need capable, affordable role players to fill out the roster. In that case, a 25-year-old two-way wing with defensive versatility and shooting upside is exactly the kind of piece you want in your lineup. Picture a post-trade or post-signing core. Agbaji starting at the 2, alongside Jared Vanderbilt, Anthony Davis, and a marquee addition like Giannis or Luka Doncic. That's a balanced lineup with defensive presence and spacing, two things championship teams thrive on. The bottom line is this: adding Agbaji isn't just about the present. It's about giving the Lakers options for every possible future scenario. With him turning 26 in April, the timing aligns perfectly with the team's competitive window. He's young enough to grow with the next wave of talent, while experienced enough to help immediately in a playoff push. For a franchise chasing both short-term success and long-term flexibility, this is the type of move that makes sense on every level. A player like Agbaji gives the Lakers something they desperately need: versatility on both ends of the court. Whether he slots in as a starter at the 2 or 3, or comes off the bench as a high-impact rotation piece, his skill set translates perfectly to today's game. He can defend multiple positions, knock down open threes, and provide that rare combination of size, length, and mobility that every contender covets. Think about the flexibility this creates. On defense, Agbaji can switch across guards and wings, taking on the toughest perimeter assignments when needed. On offense, he can space the floor, attack closeouts, and fit seamlessly into a lineup built around high-usage stars like LeBron and Anthony Davis, or even a future marquee addition like Luka Doncic. or Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is the type of player you can keep through multiple contracts without worrying about diminishing return, because his game is built on translatable strengths, like defense and shooting. Another key point, the cost of acquisition won't cripple the Lakers. You're not giving up multiple first-round picks or gutting the roster to get him. Unlike someone like Andrew Wiggins, who, while an ideal fit, might not even be available, Agbaji is a realistic target that could be attainable for a reasonable price. Even compared to names like Matisse Thybulle, Agbaji might make more sense because he's younger, offers more offensive upside, and projects as a longer-term piece. And why stop at one? If the Lakers can add multiple wings in the 6.5-666 range, with elite wingspans and defensive chops, that's a game-changer. Having 2 or even 3 true 3-and-D guards wings in the rotation is not a luxury in today's NBA. It's a necessity for teams with championship aspirations. Now, consider the bigger picture. What happens if the current backcourt mix doesn't pan out? What if Austin Reeves and someone like Luka Doncic, should the Lakers land him, don't complement each other as expected? In that scenario, moving Reeves could become a possibility, and having Agbaji in-house provides a safety net. While Reeves is clearly the better playmaker and more polished offensively, Agbaji brings something the Lakers would badly need next to a heliocentric star: elite point-of-attack defense, size, and shooting. Depth and adaptability matter, especially when planning for a roster that could eventually include a high-usage superstar. If your future involves Luka or Giannis, you want as much athleticism, length, and defensive versatility around them as possible. Agbaji checks all those boxes without demanding a superstar salary or a king's ransom in asset. If DeAndre Ayton proves to be the right fit for the Lakers, the blueprint becomes clear. Surround Ayton and Luka Doncic with versatile two-way players who can defend, shoot, and adapt to multiple roles. In an ideal scenario, you're rolling out a lineup of Luka at the point, Agbaji at the 2, Jared Vanderbilt at the 3, Thiaruo at the 4, and Ayton anchoring the middle. That's 4 elite athletes flanking Luka, all capable of defending multiple positions, hitting shots from beyond the arc, and thriving in a system built on spacing and defensive versatility. Picture that group on the court together: Vanderbilt and Thiaruo harassing wings on the perimeter, Agbaji locking down guards and spacing the floor, and Ayton providing size and rebounding while embracing his role as a rim protector. This is the type of lineup that can contend every single year because it balances star power with depth, athleticism, and role players who complement your core. It's not just about offense. This group gives you a defensive identity without sacrificing shooting, which is something the Lakers have lacked in recent years. Even Ayton himself has acknowledged he wants to become more of a presence as a shot blocker and defensive anchor. That's encouraging, but the key is making sure he's not left isolated on an island against elite offensive players every night. Adding guys like Agbaji and Vanderbilt helps protect Ayton by containing dribble penetration and rotating effectively. Strong perimeter defense reduces his workload, allowing him to focus on what he does best: cleaning up mistakes, controlling the glass, and deterring shots at the rim. Now, let's talk production. Last season with Toronto, Agbaji appeared in 64 games, starting 45 of them, and logged 27.2 minutes per contest. He averaged 8.3 field goal attempts per game, connecting on 50% of his shots overall. From beyond the arc, he attempted 4 threes per game, meaning nearly half of his total attempts came from deep, and he knocked them down at an impressive 40% clip, technically 39.9%. That level of efficiency cannot be overstated. For a player who brings elite defense and athleticism, shooting 40% from deep on real volume is exactly the archetype every contender is hunting for. Historically, Agbaji is a 35.3% shooter from 3 for his career, but those numbers are weighed down by his earlier stints in Utah and his adjustment period in Toronto. With Utah, he shot 33% on 2.8 attempts per game. After being traded to Toronto, his numbers dipped significantly, just 21.7% on 2.6 attempts, which clearly skewed his career average. The important takeaway is his progression. Last year's performance, 40% on 4 attempts, shows a player trending upward. And consider the context. He hasn't yet played alongside elite playmakers like Luka Doncic or LeBron James, who can consistently create high-quality looks. Add in a secondary playmaker like Austin Reeves, and Agbaji's role becomes even clearer. Catch, shoot, and defend at the highest level. Even if he doesn't maintain 40%, settling in the 36 to 38% range, while bringing strong defense would still make him a highly valuable piece. The Lakers don't need him to become a primary scorer. They need him to thrive in a complementary role, hit open shots, and guard the toughest assignment. That's a formula for winning in the modern NBA. Even if his shooting dips slightly to around 37–38%, his two-way capabilities and defensive versatility make him a valuable asset. Looking closer at his overall game, he attempted 4.4 two-point shots per contest, connecting at nearly 58.7% from the floor, with an effective field goal percentage of 59.3%. At the free throw line, he's hovered around 71–73% over his career. Beyond scoring, he contributed roughly 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, a steal, half a block, and 10.4 points per game. On a per 36-minute basis, which gives a sense of his potential in a starter's role, he projects to roughly 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, and 0.6 blocks per game. That's a player capable of impacting multiple facets of the game: defending, spacing the floor, and making smart plays, especially alongside stars like LeBron James or Luka Doncic, who can consistently generate quality scoring opportunities for him. Defensively, last season, he posted a rating of 116 with Toronto. While not elite, that would place him among the better defenders on a team like the Lakers, who have struggled in certain areas over recent seasons. His past stints with Utah and Toronto show he can adapt to different defensive systems while providing solid perimeter coverage and switching ability. From a financial standpoint, he's realistic for the Lakers. He wouldn't break the bank, even with a new contract, and represents the exact archetype the team needs: a young, athletic, two-way wing who can shoot the three, guard multiple positions, and bring flexibility to the rotation. Even if he starts off the bench, he provides high-quality two-way production, exactly the kind of depth and versatility a contending team requires. Ultimately, this is a conversation starter, and opinions are welcome. How do you see him fitting into the Lakers roster? Could he be a hidden piece that elevates both their defense and spacing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breakdowns like this. Thanks for reading, and see you in the next one.